Morning, everyone. Welcome back to Good Heart Church. I'm Chaplain Keith giving the talk today. We do want to apologize for the last 2 weeks. So 2 weeks ago, we had an internet issue that it shut us down right after the mini meditation, or whatever you want to call that, or our relaxation process. It shut us down. We didn't even know we were shut down. We did the entire talk before we realized it was shut down. So we're going to try and redo that talk. Last week I was under the weather, and I didn't have anybody to come in and replace me that week because it was so sudden. So we apologize for not being here for a couple weeks. We want to thank our volunteers as always. My wife Mary, my brother Paul, who is just monitoring things today while Mary learns. Paul has been delayed on his departure to go on his little vacation. But we want to thank them for their help and with everything that's going on. Today we'll be talking more about healing and integration. This is healing and integration part 2, which is going to be the same as hopefully the same talk that we were going to have 2 weeks ago that never got recorded. We want to welcome all light spirits from both YouTube land and from right around here and locally to help us and keep us in their guidance. And I want to welcome any of them that want to be with us. I do want to mention that we are having a special service on the solstice, and what that will entail, we don't know how long it will be, because first of all, we might be freezing cold because it's going to be an outside one on the site where we're going to be building our spiritual center. And this particular one is going to be about blessing the spiritual center area and asking for the guidance that we need to complete the project. With everything that's going on, we'll do some different things there. Please join us for that. That I think is going to be exciting. We've been guided to put this where we're going to have the ceremony at, or the gathering at, that week. That'll be on the 21st of December, and we're possibly considering doing more with that on on the summer solstice, as well as the 2 equinoxes of 2026. So join us with that. I think it'll be exciting. I think everybody will enjoy that. It'll be a little different than just the talks that we do. So we invite you all to come to that. Again, that is December 21st. Same time, though, 10 a.m. on December 21st. I don't know if we have any other announcements today, really. So let's sit back and relax. And I did graduate from a hand hat to a mitten, in case I have a mitten on for my hand. So let's go ahead and pray to our deities, each and every person's deity, and then we'll go into our relaxation process after we're done praying. So we pray to our deities today. Let's ask that we receive whatever it is that we are to receive, whatever resonates with you, and ask for their guidance. As we finish up our prayer to our deity, let's go ahead and start to relax. Relax so that we can receive what is to be received. Try to keep your posture as straight as possible so the energy to run up and down your spine and in through your chakras. Start at the top of our heads and relax our scalp and temples. Take that crease from in between your eyes and relax your forehead and your eyes, your eyelids. Relax your cheekbones and your jaw. Relax your ears and your neck. Dropping your shoulders away from your ears, relax those shoulders. Relax your upper arms, your elbows, your wrists, hands, and fingers. As you relax with each breath out, go ahead and relax your chest and your upper back. Relax your belly and your lower back. Sinking down into whatever it is you're sitting on, relax your buttocks and your hips. Relax your upper legs, your knees, your lower legs, your ankles, feet, and toes. Take some time to relax with each breath out and just sit relaxing and being readying yourself to draw in whatever it is that is being drawn in from this talk today. And ready ourselves for this talk, let's go ahead and come back to the room that you're in. Come back to where we are, to the gathering that we're in with everybody that is around us. And if you're watching this later on, go ahead and bring yourself to listen to the talk and the message that's being brought today. Bring yourself back to where you are. Give yourself to your deity and to spirit as we accept what is happening. Okay, folks. I'm running a little slow today. So we talked about a little bit about healing and integration a few weeks ago when we were talking about this. And we talked about three main things and touched on another. So we're going to take this off and list what we've talked about to recap just briefly. So I'm going to try and there we go. We talked about time. We talked about listening. And we talked about acceptance. We talked about the time of how much that it takes time to heal. We talked about listening to our bodies, listening to the situation at hand to know how to deal with it. And we talked about accepting what it was or what it is that needed healed, or how to heal it, or whatever, in whatever manner we needed to be. Then we talked a little bit about forgiveness. Well, where we want to start today is we want to talk about why is it that we have such a problem with all this? Why do we not want to take the time? Why do we get disgusted with the time? Why do we not listen? Why do we not accept? And why does that cause us to create a problem with forgiveness? Well, what I've found out is we don't like pain. So we would rather sit in the pain of what is that is familiar to us than the pain of what is unfamiliar, because we don't know what that new pain would be like. And so we just sit in it. We just sit in the mess that we're in because we don't want to look and find out what really is going on. When I can tell you, though, when you find out what's going on and you learn to accept it, you take the time to listen to it, and then you can forgive. However, what are we looking for when we listen? When we go into that spot that is uncomfortable, we are looking for truth about ourselves. We're looking for the truth. How do we find the truth? We find the truth by being honest with ourselves. That's the trick. We don't want to, a lot of people are not honest with themselves. They would rather tell themselves a story that sounds suitable to what's happened. They would rather blame someone else instead of seeing where it is what they have done. They would rather look on the other side of the street instead of on their own side of the street. They would rather be distracted by work, by being in social events, by being anywhere but inside themselves. So they can't be honest with themselves, and unless you're honest with yourself, you can't find the truth about yourself. And that's not, now most of this has more to do with shadow work. And I know that you might think that I dwell on shadow work, but I'm going to tell you, shadow work, we have hidden a lot of things in our lives because of that. We've been created shadows. But let's remember, there is no shadow without light behind it. If you go outside after dark, you don't see any shadows unless the moon's out. You just don't see any shadows because everything is dark at that point. But if you have light, it can create a shadow. There's a shadow to the tree. I'm looking at a car outside the window here. There's a shadow to that car because it's daylight. We are always light. We are light beings. Therefore, we are always able to have a shadow. But we have to understand that the light behind it is where we are wanting to go. We are trying to integrate it so that it is all light. I had a company when I was in Montana called Goods Holistic Healing, and my videos are still up online under Goods Holistic Healing. You can probably search for it on YouTube. I did a hike up a mountain and back with my wife, and we did an entire video on the shadows that we passed through as we were going up and down that mountain, and how we didn't want to do things, how it was hurting us. Pain, no pain, no gain. You go outside and do your garden work or your yard work, and you come back in and you say, "Man, I am just hurting." But boy, don't you feel good about what you got done. It's the same way with the shadow. You have pain, you have emotional pain, you have mental pain, you might even have physical pain. But when it's all done and over with, you can say, "Boy, didn't I come through something? Didn't I see some light? Didn't I integrate things? Didn't I become a better person?" And that pain subsides and new things happen. So we have to be honest with ourselves to find the truth, which helps us create the forgiveness. And that's forgiveness of ourselves. Now, we spoke a little bit about forgiveness the last time, and we can forgive ourselves for reacting the way we did when the shadow was created, because we didn't know any better, because we were a child or an adolescent, early adulthood. We can forgive ourselves for not putting up the boundaries that we felt we needed to, because again, we were in a child's mind, and we can forgive ourselves for that. As you do all this, what comes out of that? What is the final solution to the entire thing? The entire I'm getting too many pens out here. What can you think would be the goal? I don't know. Can you read down here? It would be self love. If you look at if I haven't had it up yet online yet, you'll have it up here, and hopefully by the end of the week. If you look at the church logo, it is a green and pink, and those both signify love. It's the only chakra we have that has two colors to it. Is the heart chakra, and the pink is more for self love. The green is more for outgoing love, giving love to someone else. The pink becomes very significant if we do all these things. If we take the time to heal, we listen to what our body needs, we accept what we have, we do honesty, we do truth, we find the truth, and we give forgiveness. We gain self-love, and then the pouring out of love is much easier and much different kind of love. Okay, so there's a lot to that. Now, there are other things to go along with this. There are other things that go along with this. So, what else do we do to help in the healing process? As we do this work on ourselves, being honest with ourselves, finding truth with acceptance, listening, time involved, creating the self-love, there are other things on it. And I invite you to look some of these things up on your own and see where it fits with you. But one of them is balance. Create balance. If you talk to any, I won't say any, most herbalists, they'll tell you that the herbs that they give you do not necessarily really heal you. Neither do crystals. Neither does Reiki. They create a space for you to create balance so that you can heal yourself. Your body is capable of healing itself. So we use all these aspects. We use herbs, we use crystals. I love crystals. I have lots of crystals. We use Reiki. We use other energy work. We use sound therapy, all kinds of different things out there, all to help us create a balance in our chakras, a balance in self. Well, even on top of that, we have this is what else helps us to create a balance. Diet. And that's not very good diet now, is it? However, I'd probably eat better than my worst days of eating are probably better than most people's a good day of eating. So we want to watch our diet to help us balance. We want to deal with the shadow that we dealt with in the past slide. We want to become part of nature. I'm not very good at this. Part of nature. We spend as a society, we spend so much time trying to manipulate nature to our needs. And that's just sort of silly to me. We need to join her. We need to be part of Gaia. We need to be part of the universe instead of trying to manipulate everything for what we think is right. Our deity made all this. Our deity has all this available to us. And yet we try to think we're better than that and we want to manipulate it for our good instead of joining it and being part of it and accepting it as the healer that it is. We have to stay with the vibration of Gaia. If that's why you'll see, I think I might have mentioned this once before, you'll see your diet changing gradually. You don't even realize it's changing. And when you look back, you'll say, oh, I'm eating different things today than I did. Because in order to stay with the Earth Mother, you have to raise your vibration of your diet too. So as all this happens, we're raising our vibration. Our vibration is helping to balance us. Balancing is helping to heal us. Now, this is spiritual healing. This is emotional healing, shadow work, physical healing. The doctors right now are pretty amazed at how fast I'm healing in spite of the fact that I have other issues. They think I'm doing pretty good. Don't know that I'm above average or below average. They didn't tell me that as far as the healing process, but they said it's healing very well. That's a piece of a physical healing. But there's also other healings. And if we stay with nature, if we eat the right diet, if we do the right thing, if we have the right what? Ooh, that's another good one. I like that one. We have the right thought patterns. The thought patterns bring us to the proper intentions. If we're always thinking in a way that, well, I can't do this, I can't do that, oh, that's too hard for me, that brings the intention out that you're not going to do it. And if you have the right thought patterns and you live a good life, then things can change. You can put out the intent. I was just talking to a fellow the other day, said that he wasn't any good with anything, and he wasn't being guided. And I said to this person, I said, maybe you need to look at that a different way. Maybe you need to look at it as, I lost that girlfriend, because that's what we were talking about, because I was being guided to not have her. Instead of saying, poor me, I can't keep a girlfriend. Maybe it's about, that's not the right person. That's not the right um, spirit to compliment you. But that person had thoughts of, I'm no good, instead of the thoughts of, I'm being guided to move on to find something better or something different or something in a different path. That the path I'm going down, I'm being guided away from. But we don't see that. We don't always see the guidance that we're being given, because we have free will, and free will allows us to have these different thought patterns. So if we have the right thought patterns, and that creates us, if we have the right thought patterns, that creates us to do one other thing. And I got to erase some of this because I'm getting too many words up here. That creates us to do the right actions. I don't know if this is all coming together for you or not, but it all works. You have the right diet, you have the right thoughts, you go into balance, you have self-love by finding truth, or being honest with yourself, being forgiven or forgiving yourself through time, acceptance, and listening, and then you do the right actions. It all works together. It is said, I'm not quite sure I believe this, it is said that you can't think yourself into right action, but you can act yourself into right thinking. I'm not sure of that, because as my thoughts change, I can then change my patterns of actions. So I'm not sure I believe that saying, but people have said that. Because if you do the spiritual work, if you do the research that you feel needs to be done for yourself, if you converse with the proper people that help you, if you find like-minded people, then your actions change. And of course, part of that action is finding the right people. Part of that action is doing the work, the research, part of the studies. So those are all actions. There may not be actions like going out and working in your yard, but they're all still actions. And that's part of the right actions. So they all work together. This all works together, and it all creates ultimately the balance, the self-healing, the self-love, the outward love, the acceptance of guidance, and being the spirit that you're supposed to be, raising your vibration. And of course, we've talked many times about meditation, which is another tool, and raises your vibration to become closer to your deity, closer to your higher power. These are all work together, and that's all part of healing and integrating. You heal and integrate through all of this, not through one. You can't say, I'm going to eat right. That's going to create a true balance in me, and everything's going to be great. No, you have to have the right diet, the right thoughts, the right type of listening, the way to being honest with yourself to hear, to find the truth, forgive yourself. You have to do all of these things to bring in proper balance.
I just wanted to make a comment or
Sure.
once you start experiencing some of the benefits that you just talked about from doing this, does it make the pain that you started out with easier? Like we're avoiding the pain because it's dark and scary and we don't know what it is. But once you put your foot on that path and start experiencing some of the benefits, does it make it easier to
It may
pain like like it'll create a
right. It will make it easier. But let's remember one thing. You go through this piece of pain, you may graduate to another pain and another pain as you move through these. Now, this is one of my wife's favorite sayings, that because we all have fear about this. And fear is what, if we remember a few weeks ago, fear is a lower vibration. Okay. And my wife's favorite saying, one of her favorite sayings is, the only way through fear is afraid. I like that. You're not, just because you're brave doesn't mean that you don't fear what you're going through to make that look like you're being brave. You're still fearful. You're still afraid. So yes, you're going to have pain. No pain, no gain. We mentioned that earlier. No pain, no gain. The pains ease. Sometimes they never go completely away. You always have a little dull ache, so to speak, about what happened or how things have happened. And you don't have to. That's another thing I wanted to bring out as you're going through these pains, especially in shadow work. A lot of people want to say, what was the situation that created this? We don't have to know the situation. We only have to experience the feeling or emotion and integrate that feeling and emotion and sit in it to experience it, to get it to integrate. We don't have to remember what mom did. We don't have to remember what our teacher did. We just have to, or our peers. We just have to remember how we felt about it and how we reacted. We don't have to remember our situation. So don't sit there and dwell on a situation. That just creates more pain trying to figure it out. It creates more current pain, not pain from the past. It creates a situation where we just sit there and stew on this, saying, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? It's not what did I do wrong. It's, can I accept the feeling, the emotion, the situation, and how can I integrate it because it's already part of me. You see, all this is already part of you. So therefore, you have to integrate it and bring it out and nurture it and say, okay, it's okay to be this way. It's part of me. That's who I am today. That's what's made me in this incarnation. So pain is there. It lessens, and then you might find a new pain. And that lessens, and you might find a new pain. Remember, we talked about time, how it could last what we consider a really, really, really lengthy time. But in the scheme of things of the universe, it's nothing. And we are everlasting spirit. So the time that we spend healing in this incarnation needs done, but it's such a short amount of time that it's almost insignificant. But we have to have it to grow, to ascend to our higher power, to become part of our higher power, keeping in mind that we already are part of, we are a fractal of our higher power. for those who believe that we are traded in our higher power's image. We're already part of higher power. We are already part of our deity. And we're trying to ascend to become one with and whole with that deity. And we have to go through all these pains. That's our learning process. That's our healing process in spirit. It's our healing process in the physical. And we got to remember that. We got to remember that this is the dualistic earth. There's physical and spirit. There is good and bad. There is right and wrong. That's the dualism of this earth. We don't have one, we don't know what the other one is. There's an opposite for everything. And those opposites create the dualism in this earth. So yes, we have to have that pain, because without pain, we wouldn't know what pleasure was. And we'll live through it. We live through everything because we're everlasting, because we're eternal. So I hope I gave you a little bit more information today. I don't know where we're standing on time, but we're if we have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section. We'd love to hear from you. Thumbs up, subscribe. I'm sure I could go into more of this. If you guys choose to want to know more about it, I may go into it. I go by what I'm guided. When I first started this, I used to have notes. As I've gotten deeper and deeper into what I'm doing, I don't have anything. It just comes to me as I'm talking. I don't have a script. I have ideas in my head when I start, but I don't have anything written down anymore. So as things come to me in the future, we will bring it up. Again, join us on December 21st at the special gathering on our land where we're going to build the spiritual center. With that said, have a great week and be spiritual in everything you do. Are there any comments? And straight. As soon as I say be